In this video, I'm going to share some pieces of my story and of my work with you that I've not shared with anyone, any of my clients actually, and that I think is really important to let you in on some of my story and the way that I work. First of all, Jyotish is a fabulous tool, and I am very passionate about it, but I see it as a tool of identification. It's a way for us to confront what is, to identify, to give answers for the mental body, the part of us that wants to know and needs that sense of knowing to move forward and oftentimes to not feel confined or restricted. And so Jyotish can be a very powerful piece, and I think of it as step one. However, it's not the entire enchilada, so to speak, and I don't think of it that way. I think of it as a primary resource and a way to help us take step number one. And then there are other steps that I know are incredibly important and valuable. Tools and resources that we have to use in order to move through the challenges of the chart. So we can identify these challenges and these blockages within the chart, but then we've got to go further. We have to actually work with the karmas and work with them in a way that informs us and helps us overcome these obstacles, or at least work with them in a different way, a way that doesn't confine us, and a way that doesn't restrict our movement, so to speak. So that's where, of course, the expressive art therapy modality is very valuable. And as I've shared with you, the pieces of our story, our karmas that we are here to work on in this lifetime can be recreated over and over again through the expressive art therapy work. And it's a way for us to be really diligent about the inner work and also get really creative and resourceful about repatterning our body, our mind, and our emotions. So I see that as the most powerful resource that I've got in my toolkit. And of course, I use a body-centered approach. So this means that we take into consideration the functionality and the wisdom of the body, that we're not separate from this body. And that is really important. We cannot be separate from this wisdom. The body has all of the answers within it that we need to move forward. And if we're willing to, and if we're diligent enough to listen carefully, then we can use that to move and remove and restore pieces of our being, pieces of our life path, and to create a life for ourselves that is worth living and that can bring us joy and a sense of creativity that is often lacking when we are feeling stuck. However, there's also another tool that I use. And you may or may not be familiar with this tool called EFT, the Emotional Freedom Technique. And I've been using this for years. And it is what I use when I am completely at a extremely vulnerable or challenging moment, when I can feel in my body resistance to moving forward. And I'll spare you some of the challenges that I have faced in my life and continue to face, but let's just say that there are plenty. And there are days where, despite the fact that I consider myself very aligned with my Dharma and my path and my mission, there are still days where I don't want to move forward. And I am very challenged by taking steps, action steps. There are fears that come up for me, these demons that I'm walking with and working with in this lifetime. Both personally and familially, so from my family system and from my lineage. These are gifts from the ancestors, so to speak. We all have them. And I have a nice chunk, a nice packed bag of these gifts from my lineage, and they often keep me from moving forward. And they are my biggest obstacles. And even though I have a lot of clarity and I have a lot of resources, there are still days that are extremely challenging. And I face my resistance and this lack of desire even to move forward. And a lot of my issues have to do with life versus death, quite literally. And if there's a more profound story for this life, it's how to move forward when we are facing such an obstacle like death itself. And so it's a pretty big one. And I share that to let you know that even with these extreme challenges that we all face, we have choice. And it's in these moments of extreme challenge and lack of hope and lack of desire that I see opportunity. And I see, if there is willingness, then there's a window of hope. There's a window of opportunity. And that's where we can decide to move forward or not. And when I am not able to literally go into my dance or art therapy practice and the emotion is too intense and it's coursing through me, I use the EFT technique. And this is simply tapping on acupuncture points within the body and calming the fight and flight system, this stress response system that's in the body. It's hardwired into us, and our stories trigger this fight and flight, the stress response system in the body. So when the emotion is really high and really strong and really paralyzing, the EFT technique can bring it down a notch. It can bring it down to a manageable level so that we have this ability to see and an ability to see possibility, to invite in and be open to possibility. And possibility is really creativity. And then we can move with that. And then we can create with that. And then we can find new and greater and more brilliant creative outlets for ourselves. But if we're completely paralyzed, often we need a little jump start. And I've certainly found this to be the case for myself. So I see all of these modalities as a beautiful synergy, an intermodal process. And so I'm sharing with you my intermodal process. And though I work specifically with my clients using Jyotish and the body-centered expressive art therapy, there's this little piece that I failed to mention that I'm working with daily when things are really intense, and sometimes I can set it aside. And right now specifically, things have been extremely challenging for me and a lot of issues coming up. This is the work of the eclipse, and most of you are probably feeling the intensity of this time as well. And so what to do, how to take these baby steps forward to help reduce the anxiety levels, the paralyzing fears. And it's really about pausing, being willing to work through these strong emotions that are coming up, and then being open to new possibilities. And these can be small possibilities. So if yesterday's podcast was a little overwhelming and maybe brought up some big challenges for you that you face and that are alive and well in your family paradigm and your family system, then maybe this technique can be a resource for you. And it's one that I'll continue to share more about now. And one that I'm quite passionate about, and I've seen the benefits. It helps me piece my story together, to get the story together and work through some of the mental process that is looping around in my brain, in the mental body. So I invite you to, we're going to go through a little tapping right now, and then below this video I'll share some resources for you. Some of my favorite teachers that I like to work with and that I subscribe to their newsletters, because they'll share really good tapping resources and set up phrases and that kind of thing to move you through some of your blockages. So click on those resources after the video for a bit more. Now, first of all, I invite you to start with a 3-level check-in, because this will help you pause the system and begin the identification process. So closing the eyes and checking in, being present to what arrives for the physical body. Noticing posture, sensations, any sentences or words that come up, colors, textures. Invite that in. Just be present to what the physical body is telling you. And then check in with the mental body. Identifying what is and what comes. And then the emotional body. Letting images, colors, words, textures, even sounds arrive. Good. And take a nice cleansing breath. And that 3-level check-in can be the jump start you may need for your tapping work. And the way that it works is you tap on very specific points of the body, and I'm doing them now. And I also use this this point right at the diaphragm, and I use the side body, and we'll also use the karate chop point as it's described. And I'm using Margaret Lynch's system. She's one of my favorite EFT teachers, and I will share more about her work so that you can see if she's a resource you'll want to follow along. I'll include her in the links below. So these are the points, and these are the points that can calm this fight and flight system in the body when the stress response is high in the body. And remember, it's emotions that can intensify the mental body looping, and then it's this network back and forth and back and forth, and then the physical body has a response. So we're working with the emotional body, which I'm very passionate about, and we're intercepting that self-talk and getting really clear on identifying it. And then I like to actually use this and move it into the expressive art modality. So I'll invite you into that process after the video. Now, we first go in with a whole cycle expressing our fears and the emotions that are coming up. And then we go back in and we do a cycle that is more about calming and restoring some sense of ease and possibility. But first we need to identify what is. That's what yesterday's podcast was all about. We cannot just jump forward into our dreams and our desires and leap over these very real traumas and triggers that are in us. And that's why the law of attraction doesn't work for 99% of people out there who aren't working directly with those underlying core issues. You cannot manifest on a surface level. It has to come from a felt sense. It has to come from a wisdom that is, yes, hardwired into us, but if that wisdom is covered with a lot of old goop and residue and traumas and emotional triggers, then you're not going to be able to manifest anything. Despite your positive affirmations and your action steps even, because there'll be these limiting beliefs that are holding you back and these set points these vows that we have taken with our lineage, our family system, what is okay, what is not okay, what is a normal response to life, what is not. And it's these set points that are going to keep us at mediocrity and keep us away from these very real dreams and aspirations, our Dharma, which is our birthright, our life path, why we've incarnated. And yet, there are these very strong limiting beliefs that are so compelling that they keep us from actually nourishing ourselves and being connected to our life purpose. So that's what this is all about. I'm seeing this as a way to go back and really identify those really intense pieces that came up for you yesterday in the podcast. All right? And I'm going to lead you through a couple phrases right now, a couple EFT cycles, and I encourage you to actually use this technique on your own and see what comes up for you, and to work through your own material using these cycles of tapping points, and then to notice how your story shifts and changes in the process. And this is going to be important for the next podcast that I share with you tomorrow, which will have to do more with the visualization and the affirming your desires and your Dharma and your path. But we can't jump ahead. We can't do that without really identifying these blockages, these pieces that are holding you back. If you've had a session with me, then you're likely already aware from a Jyotish perspective what a lot of these hang-ups are. And then where that feels strongest in the body, where these challenges, these obstacles are alive and gripping in the physical body. So I invite you to start from that place. And we identified that yesterday in the podcast. This body part that is speaking, this part of the body that is speaking to you and feeling really challenged by these intense emotions. And so that's a great place to start. And I'm going to do that with you now using some of my own personal work and stories. And if it doesn't relate to you and your story, then do it with words and phrases and the body parts that are alive and well in your story. Okay? So here we go. We're going to start by tapping on the crown of the head. And even though I'm feeling very challenged about moving forward right now, I have this lump in my belly, a lot of undigested challenges, torments, traumas. There they are. They're in my stomach. They're in my gut. I feel it very intensely. How to move forward with all this undigested material. This big lump in my stomach. How to move forward. How to digest my life. So many challenges, so many fears, so many imperfections. So much to digest every day. How to digest these pieces of life, these very difficult pieces of life. I'm not sure how to go on. It's so challenging that it's hard to even step forward. It's hard to even take an action step. There's so much undigested material of my life. And I can feel it. It's in my stomach. It's in my gut. It's paralyzing at times. It's gripping. I can feel it gripping my gut. How to move forward. I don't know how to move forward sometimes. Maybe that's okay. Maybe it's not. Maybe these imperfections won't ever change. Maybe these challenges that I've faced will just always hold me back. Maybe there's nothing I can do about them. I'm actually terrified that there's no way to move forward. That maybe life won't get better, that I'll never be able to digest these really big pieces that feel stuck, these undigested pieces. Tapping on my diaphragm, my upper stomach region, and now side body. It's so intense at times I feel paralyzed. I'm not sure anything's going to help. Oftentimes, it feels completely overwhelming to me. Taking a deep breath. All these pieces of life, I can feel them. I can feel them in my stomach. It feels like a hard, undigested meal. I can feel it there. I can just feel the lump. And I don't know what to do about it. Taking a deep breath. I wonder how to move forward. How to move forward. This is the big question. What steps to take? How do I take steps that are meaningful, that are valuable for myself and others? How do I share who I am, even though it's terrifying? It's often terrifying. These little fears that grow into big fears and paralyze me at times. But there they are. I see them. I feel them. I know they're in my gut, and my gut is telling me, yep, very real. It's very here, it's very alive within me. And even though I don't quite know what to do about it, it's possible that there are answers. It's possible there's a way to move forward even with these fears and these grips. I'm open to that possibility. I'm open to the possibility that there might be some options for me. There might be some options for my life, my path, that I haven't even been able to see. That maybe I've been too gripped by fear and the old stories to even see. I think that's possible. I think it's possible that becoming more aware of these stories might help me move forward by lessening their grip on me. It's possible. Yeah, I think it's possible. I'm open to that. And these grips, these challenges, these fears, these torments, these stories, all of this anxiety and fear, they're here. They're alive. I can feel it. And maybe that's okay too. Maybe it's okay. I'm open to that possibility. I'm open to the possibility that this lump in my gut, in my belly, it's just a voice telling me, giving me messages, giving me choice, possibility, opportunities to make new choices, new decisions. I'm open to that. There's body wisdom, and I can trust that. And there it is. And I can just let it be there. Taking a nice deep breath. And now being able to notice the scale of intensity that you're feeling. So if that tapping actually increased the emotional intensity, if the emotional body is feeling even more triggered, if you're having more thoughts and more challenges arrive, and maybe even that sensation in the body is more intense, then I encourage you to rewind this video to the beginning of the tapping sequence that we just did and go through it again. And then check in with yourself and your emotional body and see how the intensity level is at that point through a second round. We want to get the intensity of the emotion down to a manageable level. A lot of EFT teachers will use the scale of 1 to 10. So starting the tapping, noticing on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being the most intense, 1 being the least, how intense the emotions are, and then seeing how that intensity comes down as you go through the tapping rounds. Now, it's very normal to start tapping and actually feel the intensity increase. That way, you actually know that it's working and it's bringing up the story and the challenges within you in a very real way. So that's actually a good sign. But then you want to keep the tapping around the emotional body and these triggers and these challenges and the felt sensations of the body. You want to keep doing that tapping round of identification until it comes down to a more manageable level. Something around 1, 2, 3 in that range would be more manageable, especially if it's been, say, a 8, 9, or 10. So you want to watch those numbers come down. And then after the identification round, then we can go back in with a follow-up round that just solidifies the intention here, which is possibility and openness and the creativity that we're opening up to. And it's surprising to me always how this final round of tapping invites in this new sense of hope and possibility. And even when the challenges I'm facing and the emotions are really intense, there's always this little glimpse of hope and possibility that provides an ability for me to take an action step. And then that action step is what I use to move forward. And if I really want to make this intentional and lasting and very transformational, I'll take whatever comes up in my EFT tapping into my expressive art therapy. I'll start with a dance and the movement, and then take it into a drawing, an image, and my baseline statements, which I shared with you yesterday. But before we get to all that, let's go through with a cleansing round and just solidify some of these pieces that emerged around possibility. So we'll start this time with the karate chop point, which I understand is a point that helps us when we don't quite believe that there is change possible. It's a point in the body that helps us sort of bypass that disbelief. So using this point and just beginning the setup phrase. Even though I have these challenges and these really strong emotions that feel paralyzing, and they feel like they may keep me from even moving forward. I'm actually not sure if I can move forward with all of these emotions. They're very real. I can feel it in my gut. There they are. I've acknowledged that they're there, and I've acknowledged how challenging this is. And they've been there for a really long time. These challenges are a part of my story, and I'm not even sure that I want to fully give them up. They are, after all, a very big piece of my old story. The comfort level, so to speak, that I have become accustomed to. They're older than me. They're actually part of my family's story, my ancestors, my lineage. I'm not sure I should give that up. And yet I want to. I want to on some level, and I'm just not quite sure how. I'm not sure how to move forward, and that's part of the challenge, and that's part of the intense emotion. And I acknowledge that these challenges are here, these very real, strong emotions and the body sensations that I'm having in my gut. I acknowledge that they're here. I don't know quite what to do with them, but I'm open to the possibility that there are answers. There are some solutions that I may not be seeing right now. Solutions that I've somehow missed or not been able to see because I've been so distracted by all this intensity, the intense emotions, these very real, intense emotions. They're here. I'm acknowledging that they're here. Yep, there it is. These very real challenges. And yet, I also acknowledge that I'm ready to move forward. And I don't quite know how yet, how to do that. But maybe there's a way. Maybe there's a way to even just take a baby step today towards this big dream, this big vision I have for my life and my path. Those dreams are there. Those visions are there. I may be afraid even to look at them at times, but I acknowledge that they're there. And yet, so is this emotion. So are these challenges, these very real challenges that I face. It's all there. All of it is here. It's here in my body. It's here in my thoughts, my mental body. It's here in my emotional body. I'm acknowledging it. And I'm also acknowledging that there's possibility. There's possibility for my life that I'm probably missing. Somehow I'm missing these possibilities, these new options, these new choices. These choices that actually might help me create a life that is more joyful, more passionate, more creative. I'm open to that possibility. I'm open to this possibility. I think I'm open to this possibility that there might be some new options for me, some new possibilities for my life. And I'm open to the possibility that I can take a step forward even though there are strong emotions and fears and challenges and these old stories. And maybe it's okay. Maybe I can still move forward with my life, even though these very real stories and experiences, triggers, and traumas are here. There they are. They're still here. And so am I. I'm still here too. And while I'm here, in this body, living this life, I want to be open to receiving more joy, more possibility, more hope, more creativity, more sharing of my gifts and my talents and my brilliance that I'm here to share with the world. That's why I'm here, after all. Why would I have been born if I wasn't here to share my gifts and my talents with the world? It doesn't make sense. I'm alive to share my wisdom with the world. And I'm open to the fact, the possibility, the reality that I just need to take one little action step forward. Don't have to take big leaps. I can just take small action steps that add up over time. And each step leads me closer and closer to this brilliance, these gifts that I'm here to share with the world. I don't have to know how. I don't have to know each little step that I'm going to take and how it's going to happen. That's not what I need to do today. But I'm open to this path of greater and greater knowing and greater trust and greater well-being, more aliveness and joy. I'm open to that. And even though I don't quite know how it's all going to come together, I don't know how it's all going to happen and materialize, maybe that's okay too. Maybe that's part of the process. Maybe that's even exciting. Maybe that's even part of the joy that I haven't even discovered yet. Maybe that's coming from my willingness. Maybe willingness is all I need. Willingness, a few action steps, desire and courage to move forward with my life. Maybe that's enough for now. I'm open to that possibility. I'm open to these many possibilities. There are so many possibilities. And that's actually kind of exciting. Yes. I can take an action step today, and it's a step towards my future of greater joy, greater possibility, more hope, more creativity, more sharing of my gifts and talents. I'm open. I'm open to receiving, I'm open to sharing, just because of this one little tiny bit of possibility that I'm creating. This tiny bit of possibility that I'm creating in my life. It's like a window of hope. A small window of hope. I'm opening this window. I'm opening this small window of hope and possibility. Hope and possibility, this window of hope. I can open this window. That feels doable. It feels doable. It feels possible. And I notice that my body is calmer and my emotions are calmer. And this possibility feels more possible. And now I'm ready to take an action step forward today to increase my creativity, to increase possibility, to increase my sense of thriving and my well-being in my life. Just a small window. That's all I need. These little steps, these little openings, they really add up. That's something I trust. That's something I believe is true. I can sense that, and I can feel it. I can feel that as my truth. I'm open to these possibilities, these small, gentle possibilities. I'm taking a cleansing breath. Now I invite you to do another 3-level check-in and just be really present to the body response right now. Physical body, mental body, and emotional body. What is the difference that you are experiencing from your first 3-level check-in? Just notice these differences. Be present to the scale I gave you, that 1 to 10, and noticing the intensity of the emotional body. Is it less? What are the sensations that arrive in the physical, emotional, and mental bodies? And now I encourage you to take this wisdom into your day and do something today that is really a conscious action step towards your vision of Dharma and a more joyful life. So yesterday we made that list, those passions that you have and the joys that you have in your life, the things that you really want to be doing every day. And do something on that list today. Let that list be your spark of imagination and creativity. Your Shakti list. And go for it today. Immerse yourself in that joy and that creativity. And if you're still feeling a lot of intensity coming up for yourself and these emotions, you can recycle and redo this whole tapping sequence and be really clear on this part of the body. And make sure you do yesterday's podcast in its entirety and go through the body-centered expressive art therapy approach. Especially if these triggers are really strong, take that into your dance, into your movement, and let more wisdom come out through the body. And then take it into your image and keep recycling, keep redoing. And then come back to the tapping and get it down to a more noticeable, manageable level. And then go back into the tapping, the confirmation, the possibility, the opening cycle. And keep working with these pieces and find how these modalities can serve you and be part of your daily, weekly, monthly cycle of cleaning and clearing the old stories and the old patterns. And I'm of the mind that we clear and we cleanse and we identify, but that these stories are also alive and well within us and here for a purpose. And that we also need to be very honest about that and use them in a way that is honest and creative. That maybe we don't get rid of the entire story. We are here in a human body after all, and we have karmas. But it's how we work with these stories and these karmas, these challenges. And do we let them limit us and hold us back and paralyze us and keep us away from the magic and the possibility of our creativity and our joy in our life? Or do we actually let them push us forward and use them as a resource rather than a hindrance? That's the difference. And to me, the only difference between people who are very successful and people who aren't rising above their challenges is the willingness that we have to actually use our material, and rather than let it limit us, use it, identify it, and work with it in very creative ways. So it takes courage, and it takes willingness, and it takes action steps. And I just want to not only encourage you, but commend you for your brave, courageous action steps and the willingness that you have to move beyond these challenges, these blockages, these stories, and these limiting beliefs that you have inherited and that you've continued to live with and create with. I commend you for that. And I commend you for your courage and your bravery, for wanting to be more, do more, and the bravery and courage it takes to really look at your stuff, the bags that you packed, and to do something about that. So remember, it's beyond Jyotish. It's beyond looking at the bags we packed. It's about unpacking those bags and actually looking through and sorting, sifting through these, the luggage that we have, and working with that material. And there's so much we can do with it, and it can be such a creative piece of our life. And it can actually be that missing piece that we need to fulfill our Dharma. Our demons, our packed bags, are part of the magic of our Dharma and a very important piece of it. And I encourage you to continue to dive deeper into your bags, into your luggage, because these are going to be very important pieces in how you share your wisdom, how you share your Dharma with others, and what is alive, what is so alive in you and so compelling within you that you are literally forced to share your journey and your work with others. Your material is what is really inviting in, your mirror, in other words, is really inviting in the other. That's 7th house matters, relationships. Who are you inviting in? The clients, the customers, the people in your life. And this is really the next step, because we have to be very aware of our material, because these are the same people that we're going to be helping. These are the same people that are going to come to us, and there's their story. It's my story. It's your story. They're going to come and they're going to help you identify your own story more and more. And so you need to be very clear on your stuff, because that's how you're going to help them. So more on that in the coming offerings. But this is what is so compelling for me, and so much of my passion is helping you identify what your material is, and then helping you work with that in very new ways and turning it into your offering, quite literally, and being very honest with the shadows, because it's our shadows that drive us. And we can do that in an unconscious way, or we can do it in a very conscious way. And when we do it in a conscious way, it can be a very creative tool and resource. And that's where the expressive art therapy work comes in. And we can be very creative with our material. And it's also why I'm launching this 6-month mentorship. And I'll be sharing more about what this actually entails and what the nuts and the bolts and the pieces are around this 6-month mentorship. But I'm so passionate about helping my clients move beyond just the literal chart interpretation, the Jyotish pieces that you come to me for. I know there is more to it than just identifying these karmas. And it saddens me actually that clients come and we just touch in on these very real life story pieces, and then we do a little body-centered expressive art therapy and I give you some homework, and some of you do the homework, some of you don't. And it's not enough just to know we have these issues. We have to work with them. And I understand that you need support with that. We all need support with our journey. And we need some guidance. And we need resources. And we need to be pushed a little bit and provoked along the way. And that's what this 6-month mentorship is really all about. Me holding the container for you, working with the pieces that we've identified together about your journey, and getting you from this place of stuckness, fear, anxiety, and torment, and the suppression of your gifts and your talents, and getting you, guiding you, and nurturing and nourishing you during a 6-month period to a place that is strong, capable, aware, and increased creativity and willingness. And that's my commitment to you. I want my clients to go beyond just the surface. And for those who are really committed to growing and becoming who they are meant to be in this lifetime, and working with the challenges that we all have. We all have these challenges. We can't pretend that they're not here. Being really willing to look at these challenges in our life. These are the people who are going to make it. These are the people, the willingness that is present and the courage that you have. You're the one who is going to move forward in your life and to really get to the dharmic nourishment of your life. And I'm committed to helping you get to that place. So I will share more with you in the next few days about this really exciting 6-month mentorship that I'm offering to a handful of clients. But for now, be sure to work diligently through these podcasts and the videos that I'm sharing with you, because these are the very essential pieces that are going to help you and guide you to this very rich gift and this very dharmic purpose that you have. And these are the resources and the tools that I am working every day with, and working diligently through my own material with. And they work. They really, really work. And I'm here to tell you that these modalities will get you to the place where you want to go and beyond what you can even imagine right now. And I'm excited for that in my own life and these possibilities. And I'm also amazed at the growth and the shifts that I've made in my own life, the willingness that I've had to overcome some really deep, dark challenges, these life and death challenges that I mentioned at the beginning of the video. And I continue to work, and I continue to work with my material, and I continue to use it to help me grow and become not only the person that I want to become, but to be the teacher, the guide that I'm here to be for you. So let's all work on our stuff together and not be afraid to look at it. And I'll share more with you in the coming days about how to really move into your mastery. All right, thanks so much for joining me and working with me and doing this really unique synergy of modalities. There's so much more to come. Be well.